Hello, everyone, and welcome to One in Six Supports Friday group. We are here today to learn about an app that is, or an AI that is going to help with IEPs, and we're here with Laura Wilk, who's going to be talking about her new product. And I just wanted to remind everyone that if you do not want to be identified, this is being recorded and it's going to go out to all the members of our group, but it will be on YouTube. So if you do not want to discuss your child or yourself if you don't want to be identified, please be aware of that and don't use your name or identifying information if that's important to you. And if you have a question and you don't want to ask it, you can put it in the chat and we will get to it. So without further ado, we have Laura Wilk here, and you can introduce yourself. And thank you for coming.
No, thank you so much for having us. We've learned a lot about the One in Six group, and we're now going to be happy followers and supporters from Austin, Texas. So,
Good. That's
good
great.
morning.
Good
Thank you.
morning.
Good morning and greetings from that's where we are. We're in Austin, Texas. My name is Laura Wilk, really Laura Wilk Peter, and I have beside me my amazing co founder and husband, Mark. And so, we're going to be talking to you today a little bit about our project, our new business that we're launching. It's called IEP Sensei, and we'll tell you a little bit about our backstory and how we came to building this amazing tool. And then we'll give you a little bit of a demo so that you can see as parents the power of the tool and what we're doing to support families and support teachers and school districts. All right, go ahead. Click next. All right, so we want to tell you a little bit about our side of the story with Mark and Truett. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, when my son was 18 months old, um, we got his diagnosis of autism and PDD and some motor skills development, stuff like that. And you know, that he was our first child, so it really kind of took the wind out of our sails because we didn't know what to expect. Um, we immediately threw him into speech and OT and kind of hope for the best, because we didn't know anything about, raising a child or, um, you know, what autism meant or anything like that. Um, and so early on, his mom would, say things like, well, I don't think he's ever going to drive, or I don't think, he's ever going to be able to live on his own. And at that time, the expectation was, he's going to be, his label, and, we're going to have to struggle with all of that. Um, Today he's 27 years old. Um, he's taken road trips across the country. Um, he now works for Tesla, and is kind of an early adopter of having a robot overlord. Um, so he's really blossomed like beyond what we could have imagined. And so when Laura and I met and we were talking about my background with Truett and her experience with um, special education, we just sort of like when AI came out, it's like this is our opportunity to help parents understand the things that I didn't understand um, at the very beginning, and I'm really really proud of what we've done. So excited to show you guys.
All right. So that's a little bit about the family side of things. Just to tell you a little bit about me, I became a special education teacher in 2009, and from that time on, my world has been about advocating for students and teachers and looking at our special education system in such a way that I understand um, that it's not sustainable where it is, but it must be sustainable because there's nobody coming to save us. There's nothing out there in the shadows. We've got to work with the system that we have to make it the best system that we possibly can. And so I moved to Austin to take a position with the Texas Education Agency Texas was under scrutiny and in a little bit of trouble from the Office of Special Education uh, because we had put a cap, Texas as a state had put a cap or a perceived cap on the number of students, the percentage of students who could be found eligible for special education services. And at the time that I moved into the Texas Education Agency, Texas had about an 8% rate of students who were served through special education, and that simply, there were a lot of kids who were missed. And so I spent a year providing a lot of technical assistance, writing technical assistance guides for both Section 504 and the Inclusion in Texas grant project, and made a lot of changes. And then now I'm back working with school districts as part of my day job. So between Mark and I, we have both the parent side, we have the special education kind of systemic expertise, and then Mark and his brother Mike, go ahead and next slide. Um, Kind of, they're the tech geniuses behind what we are building. So Mark spent many years at Dell working in program management and things like that, also with AI. And then Mike was formerly a Google solution architect, building AI systems, and now is doing other things as a managing director. But he is consulting with us as our CTO. And through our adventure and building our program, we met Teresa Prano, who came on board with us as a grant writer, and then just joined our team. We just adopted her, and she's our Chief Education Officer. She wasn't able to be here with us today, but she's had a huge impact on what we've done. And through Teresa, we also had the honor of meeting Dr. Lalvani and having her as a member of our advisory board. So we just demoed for our advisory board yesterday and kind of launched out where we are. And so we're excited to bring you all into this conversation as well. Okay, next. So I think we all kind of know this and live this, but the problem is that we do have a sustainability crisis in special education, like I mentioned before. And there are three really important focuses there. So educators are burning out. We're seeing in Texas that we have a lack of special educators who are in the pipeline, and people are leaving the profession. A lot of that is because of the documentation compliance demands on top of all the other things that teachers are doing. And so we're seeing that educator burnout. Um, Parallel to that is our parents feeling alienated. And the process is very complex, and it's challenging to have a child with a disability, and then to navigate the IEP process often leaves our parents feeling really disempowered and, most importantly, unheard, right? And when our parents are unheard, we know that, things move from being a collaborative relationship to being very confrontational on both sides. And so we want to definitely heal some of that. But most importantly, it's our kids, right? And so when we're going through all of this, our kids aren't receiving the highest quality special education programs that they deserve. That's part of their free, appropriate public education. And so at the highlight of everything we do is our students. Okay, so that's really the problem that back in 2004, Mark and Mike and I were talking about the power of AI innovation. And this is the problem that we were discussing at our kitchen table. Like, how do we support making this better for our kids? The other thing that we've really noticed is that there's a gap for parents in terms of being able to advocate for their children. Um, we've talked a little bit about the complex, kind of intimidating IEP process. The language, the format of those documents isn't supportive of helping parents understand and be able to just participate and feel confident. There's that information asymmetry where oftentimes parents are sitting at a table with a big group of experts, and so they feel that they're not on equal footing because they don't have all of that information. to feel confident in asking questions and understanding how things are going. A lot of times, our parents who can afford support have to go out and find that support through an advocate or an attorney. And often those processes are quite expensive, including, going to due process can be $20,000 easily. Um, and then, so all of these things contribute to perpetuating cycles of inequality, right? And so again, that's an area that we're working quite hard to fill that advocacy gap. So what are we doing at the very heart of our business? We're improving outcomes for students with disabilities, their families, and schools. So we're supporting equal access to all levels of education. All right. And just thinking about our solution, we're going to get into our demo in just a second. But we are a scalable multi-agent technology solution. We're not a chatbot. This is a multi-agent system that's providing expert analysis of IEP documentation. We're empowering families to be equal partners and to feel confident in the IEP process. We provide that actionable insight. We're going to show you some takeaways that parents can take with them to make this process much easier and help them with the language that they need to be effective negotiators. And then also looking at that academic progress and helping parents to watch over time, make sure that their IEP goals are not just rigorous, but that they're also being monitored, their kids are making progress, and that those goals are changing from year to year, not just being copied forward. Okay.
I'm sorry, we're getting in the chat. Is it possible to make yourself louder? It's a little soft.
Oh, I think so. Can we turn on the... I can also talk louder. Sometimes my voice goes like this. So, let's see. Is that better? Can you hear me a little bit better?
I think so.
Alma?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a little faint, but I have my
Okay.
volume all the way up. But yeah, somebody put in the chat that it's kind of soft.
Hard to hear. Okay, well, let me talk a little bit louder.
Okay,
Sorry
thank
about
you.
that. Technology.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to introduce our program. It's called the IEP Champion. Like I was mentioning, it's a digital expert persona committee. Okay, it's not a chatbot. And we provide deep analysis of IEP documentation. We're going to show you areas of strength in that document. We always want to start from areas of strength, and then we're going to provide information about areas of correction. We'll provide actionable insights that give you checklists and good things to take, meeting prep guides, so that you feel really prepared for your meetings. We are working to ensure that there's wonderful family engagement, that families really feel empowered. But we're also supporting that teacher side and working to mitigate some of that burnout. We won't be showing it today, but we do have supports on the school side as well. Okay. We are working to translate education research into classroom practices so that we can really be implementing all of the new innovations that are coming forward through our research. We are also looking at reducing costly due process and state complaints, so saving that money for the kids for where it needs to go instead of going out to attorneys and other things, right? Court cases. We're helping to facilitate meaningful inclusion for students with disabilities, and we're giving both sides, families and teachers, the tools and strategies that can help make that possible. And we're always child-centric, and so we're going to be following the child across their development, providing support for families throughout their educational career. Okay. All right, so let's go take a look at the IEP Champion. All right. Can y'all see our screen with the IEP champion on it? Alma?
Yes, yes, I
Okay,
see it.
awesome. Okay. So as a parent, when you enter the your dashboard, this is what you're going to see. You'll see that there's a button that you can start a new analysis. Today, we've already uploaded a redacted IEP for our purposes, and we have our privacy mode that's on. But you'll see just at a glance, you'll have the IEP goals that your student is currently working on. And then as you upload progress over time, you'll be able to track progress on this home screen. Let's scroll down a little bit. Okay. We have an advocacy action center. So it's giving you just kind of bulleted checkpoints of things that we're going to be working on, right? Things to ask about or address in a meeting. And then you'll have your analysis history. And you'll see we have code names for privacy on, on our students. Okay. If you look at the far left-hand side, you'll notice that the parent button is in green. That's because you're coming in from your parent screen. We also have personas for teachers. We're working with attorneys right now. So we have a lawyer dashboard, also advocate dashboards. And then you'll see at the bottom, we also have a student dashboard that we're in the process of developing where our students are going to be able to track their own progress and take a lot more engagement in their IEP process as well. So let's take a look at an analysis. Okay, so for our purposes today, I chose an IEP that was pretty straightforward. It's just about 16 pages and estimating, just from my experience, how long it would take me as a teacher to draft the IEP. It'd take me about 3 hours. Okay, the student is a student with dyslexia and some other areas of concern, and so I want you to imagine that your teacher has sent you this IEP document that they've drafted. Took me about 3 hours. Pretty excited about it. And you run an analysis of the IEP. Okay. And looking at our educational audit, you'll see that the IEP has a quality score of a D. It's a deficient plan in terms of our analysis. So what does that tell us? Well, that's the side that we're also working on to support teachers, because as a teacher, I may not know how much more time I should have spent or maybe what I should have done differently to move this document from a D to an A rating. Okay. So again, we're supporting both sides. But as a parent now, you have a wealth of information about this document. Okay. So let's scroll down just a little bit. I want to point out some key performance operations. So you'll see that there's a compliance score of 75%. We're going to go take a look at that in just a few minutes. And then there's an equity tone. So we're also analyzing IEP documents for bias. And so that equity tone, we're going to take a look at that in just a minute as well. And then you have some highlighted areas of focus. So the reading level, the math level, and the writing level. So we see that there are two areas, reading and writing, that are below grade level. Okay. And then as we scroll down, you're going to have a lot of information. We won't have time to look at it all today, but we have pedagogical findings, and then scroll down some more. We're looking at services. So in terms of this IEP, the student receives specialized education in language arts and reading. The frequency is weekly, the duration is 225 minutes, and they're served through general education as the location. Okay, but you'll see a much longer list if the child has more services. And then we break down the accommodations and we help to identify, is this an instructional accommodation? Is it a testing accommodation? You know, where is the support for that? And then give a little bit more information if needed. Then we move on to the annual goal analysis. Now we're looking for making sure that these goals are SMART goals, that they're measurable, that they're achievable, right, as written. In terms of these goals, they're not too bad. But we always provide an upgrade if there's one that, is warranted, right? And so each of these goals, you'll see the original text and then some suggestions to make them a little bit better, okay? And then as we scroll down further, and this is kind of the format throughout your analysis reports, we give you all the information. So your comprehensive educational report really gives you the narrative for all of the information we talked about. And then you see you have an action plan and some advocacy tools here and advocacy resources. We've noticed in our beta testing with parents that there's a continuum of ability for parents, and some parents really benefit from having some scripted language that they can use. And so we embed that throughout as well. Okay. Just giving them some scripts for asking questions and things like that. All right, so we talked a little bit about compliance. Let's take a look at our compliance audit. So you'll notice at the top, this IEP is from the Texas jurisdiction. And so what we're using as a foundation are state rubrics. We're using the state regulations for Texas, and then of course the federal, the IDEA 2004. We currently have the capacity to analyze documents from all 56 special education jurisdictions. And so you'll see at the top which jurisdiction your IEP is in, okay? And so as we move down, you'll see in terms of this audit, we're now looking at compliance, and we're pulling out areas of severity and things that need to be corrected. And not only do we show what's not quite right, we show the remediation strategy as well. So you can go into that meeting and you can know that this is what I'm asking for. Or you can contact your school and say, we need to call an IEP meeting because there's a few things we need to address within this IEP. Okay. And then again, you've got all that good field narrative information, a remediation roadmap, and then outlining those findings and also giving the code that corresponds with how we found that out. Okay. All right. That's already a lot, but let's take a look at the equity audit now. So we're looking at this IEP for areas of bias. And a lot of times when teachers are trying to write high quality professional sounding IEPs, they'll use language that is actually really not great, right? It's a little bit biased, or there may just be bias that's being included in the IEP. And so we're looking for that, okay? So you'll notice that as you scroll down, we identify the bias, and then we identify the type. So is it an attribution bias? Is it adultification? Is it deficit-based framing? And then we provide that original phrasing, we provide suggested reframing, and then we provide a little bit more information about why we identified this. I see Priya's got her thumb up. Yes. This has been very enlightening to me as I support teachers in writing IEPs and I sit in IEP meetings to really be now listening for and helping to reframe a lot of this language. So again, you'll have your full narrative, the lexical audit and narrative findings to support you and just helping to make sure that your child is seen in the best light that they deserve to be. Okay, so I mentioned that we have a multi-agent system. We currently have over 26 agents that analyze IEPs. We have an orchestration agent at the very beginning who analyzes the IEP and determines who are the experts who need to be a part of this committee and then pulls them in. And so you'll also have access to expert analysis from each of those agents. For this particular student, we pulled in the dyslexia specialist, we pulled in an executive functioning specialist, and then assistive technology specialist, okay? So each of these experts from their perspective is looking at only those documents that they need to see. And then they're providing a technical analysis, instructional audits, they're looking at service sufficiency, and then accommodations and goals. Okay. So you'll see that for each of our specialists here. That information is also consolidated in your final reports and parent advocacy reports, but it kind of tells you a little bit of the behind the scenes and how we're getting there. Okay. All right, so we've got a few more places. We're pretty much analyzing these IEPs from every single perspective possible. One of the things that we always look at is behavior. Okay. So this student does not have a behavior intervention plan, and there's not really indications within their IEP that behavior is inhibiting their ability to learn. One of the things that we're finding, though, as we continue with our beta tests is that there's oftentimes behavior that is inhibiting a child's ability to learn. It's identified within the IEP, and yet there's not a lot of support. There may not have been a functional behavior assessment. And so, we can highlight that and help the committee to fix that. But in this case, this student is doing great in terms of behavior. And so as we scroll down, it's an opportunity, though, for us to kind of build in some positive areas. So we're highlighting the student's strengths, right? There are some areas of need, so we talk about those just briefly. And then if you scroll down a little farther, okay. We're providing some support to both families and school teams about UDL, okay? And so here's just an opportunity where we're looking at the IEP in terms of, engagement, representation, action, and expression, and providing some recommendations and supports just to make it a little bit better, okay? All right, so we've gone through behavior. Let's take a look, at our parent advocate. So now these last parts are really specifically for you as parents, okay? We give you some information about the document tone. In the case of this student, the tone is neutral and professional, a little big picture analysis, and you'll note that we work to chunk information and make it usable. So as we scroll down, you'll see we pull out those points of celebration. Okay, we always want to start from a positive. And then we give you some high-level topics for discussion. Okay, you'll notice that those are in quotes. So if families need a little bit of support in those communication scripts, then they have that support there. Okay, and then we overall take a look at the goals. And so in terms of, a writing goal and service, we're giving families ask this, to the committee in terms of being able to clarify things or fix things, stuff like that. Okay. And then you have your deep dive. Okay. Your deep dive is, again, it's giving you overview. It's talking about strengths and needs, key issues to address, and then it's kind of an action plan that you can take to your meeting. Let's go up, Mark, and let's look at the export documents. We'll see if that shows when we. So you'll see this blue button that says export reports. And just for ease, you can download specific reports to take with you. So there's a meeting prep guide, there's a legal advocacy audit. You can do the whole report, the consensus report, or there's a parent power sheet. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the parent power sheet because that's aligned to our simplification. So the other thing that we found in working with a wide variety of parents is that there's a wide variety of reading levels. So most of the information that you see here is at a pretty high Lexile level. It's around 11th, 12th grade. But we have a simplified report. If you want to click on the simplification. And that simplified report gives a little bit more friendly language for parents. It's about a 6th grade reading level. Okay. And so, parents who may need that support have it there, and it still provides all of the information to support them and help them to be ready for their plan. And scroll down a little bit more. The other cool thing that it has, keep going down, is a lingo bridge. And so a lot of times it can feel really overwhelming to sit in a meeting. I'm an educator. I use acronyms all the time without even thinking about it, but it's really hard when you don't know what those acronyms mean. And so this just gives some frequent acronyms that parents may hear and so that they understand the meaning of those words. Okay. All right. I see that we have someone else in the chat. Alma, is there anything that I need to address?
Hold on. I think we already addressed what was there. It was an old,
Okay.
yeah. Oh,
That's
well, I
all.
can, yes, I can. No, I'm sorry. I was waiting for a break from you, but somebody had to leave, but she said, I can't wait to listen to this later. And I really believe this is the future of what Montclair needs as a school system. Can you all inquire if this is student, and I think she means individualized, but it's spelled in a very odd way. Can they also
Okay.
work with Montclair Public Schools to, I think she means overhaul a process to implement?
Oh, I love that. Yes. We're exploring pilot partnerships right now with districts. And so definitely that would be something we would be interested in doing for sure. For sure.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
So we're almost done with our parent demo. I do want to show you, just take a quick look at the final report. So this big final report is kind of the compilation of all of those other things that we've taken a look at. You'll notice if you scroll down, there's
Right.
always a personal note to parents. Um, and just to give you some encouragement and understanding that, you're not alone in the process. And so I really love that part. And then here's your meeting prep and action plan. Okay. That's your experts deep dive analysis. Again, you kind of get into all the stuff and all the things, services. And then this is your legal and advocacy audit. Um, the framework that this uses is because we've been working with an attorney to kind of make build this out for actual attorney use. But we'll give key issues and then scroll down. And then we use the IRAC analysis of major issues model. So you'll have the issue, the associated rule, the application, and then a conclusion. So it kind of lines out all of that legal information. And then we have a section that really helps you understand your rights. Let's see, anything else? Oh, yeah. And then always we're providing resources. And so you notice that the jurisdiction for this IEP is Texas. And so the advocacy resources are Texas based. If you're in a different state like New Jersey, your resource recommendations would be New Jersey resources. Okay. Whew, that's a lot of talking. Let's go. Let's go ahead and click out of here. Are there any questions before we move out of our demo? Thoughts or wonderings?
Hi.
Sorry, there's another chat, something in the chat that says, I apologize if this was already discussed, but in addition to the recording, will the materials and slides shared today be available as a hard copy as well? Well, you're not here, so I don't think so.
Okay. Andrea, did you have something that you wanted to add?
Yeah, hi. You're probably gonna get to this. I was just trying to want to know what the cost structure is and how, like, how does this get to us? Like, okay, like, can
Yeah.
you say, okay, this is how you start, this is what happens in the middle, then, you know, just like an ABCD of start to how
Okay.
it gets to us.
We can get to that. Yeah. Let's go ahead and go back to our slide deck. Okay, so to tell you a little bit, Andrea, about where we are right now, we are still in beta testing for our product. So there is no cost at this point. Let's go to next. What we're asking for now is we're looking for parents who want IEPs analyzed. Through our beta test program, what we provide is we have an initial call with parents to learn more about their concerns, questions that they have about their child's journey right now. And then parents are sharing their IEP. If they have their evaluation, they can share that as well. We can actually analyze a lot more than just an IEP with our system. So we can analyze goal progress reports, um, related services notes, all kinds of things. So anything that parents feel comfortable sharing with us, we'll take that, we'll do an analysis, and then we meet for about 30 to 45 minutes as needed for a follow-up, where we review all of the analysis information. You're provided with those reports, and then we're looking for your feedback, right? Like, is this helpful? What needs to be changed or fixed? So you're really, as a beta tester, you're coming on board to help us build our program and for us to provide you with all of that good information that we've gone over. We're also, I mentioned, looking at pilot programs with school districts. We're exploring some partnerships now, but that's also our next step on our journey is to bring this out as a kind of an auditing tool to help support districts as well. The last thing that I would let you know is that we are building a parent advisory council. We have an amazing board advisory council. Dr. Lalvani is one of our consultants, but we're also looking for a parent council of parents who just, that would take a little bit of time, maybe quarterly meetings, but if you're interested in joining us in that capacity, we'd love to talk to you about that as well. All right, and I think that is what we have to share with you today. We'd love to have any kind of your feedback, your thoughts about, you know, do you see this as a part of your advocacy efforts? Are there things that you wish you saw that you didn't? Anything, insights that you have? We'd love to hear it.
I just want to say this is really impressive and really, looks like the wave of the future. There's no more parent, parents having to feel like they don't know what they don't know and
Right.
not being able to get what they need. I just want to
Yep.
read what Priya wrote, which was, "This has the potential to radically change the entire landscape of how things are done in special ed. So, so this is an opportunity to get a free analysis and review of your children's IEPs with specific strategies and resources and consult." So yeah, this is a great opportunity. I wish
Thank you.
again that I had known that this had existed when my son was
Right.
getting older in the school system. Anybody have any questions
No,
or
I, I
feedback?
I just agree with everything else that was said. I mean, this is amazing. It's a game changer. Although my daughter just turned 18, I mean, she's still got 3 more years, and it's interesting because I literally just sent an email recently say, okay, you know what? These are the things that I don't see. And I even had the district send over a change her IP without a meeting because they're very supportive. So I am looking forward to sending you all of my information, and I just got her testing scores. This is exciting. I'm blown away by this presentation and what this means for our kids in this community. I'm getting emotional thinking about this. So thank you for taking this on and seeing how relevant and important this is, because oftentimes we spend thousands and thousands of dollars with different specialists and evaluations, and it's not always, it doesn't always connect. And I feel like with this, it's going to connect because it's one place, and
Yeah.
that's what's also exciting and innovative about it.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful to hear. Thank you. Well, it's because we're parents,
Yep.
and we have the lived experience, and so we're parents building it for parents. We're teachers building it for teachers. And so, I appreciate all of your wonderful statements, and we're really excited. Like, I agree with Dr. Lalvani. We started talking about this back in 2004. And like I said, it was just like a nerdy family conversation about, the power of AI and what Mark and Mike have built far exceeded anything I could have imagined as to what this could be. And so I really feel like the sky's the limit right now. The more feedback and information that we get, the better the tool will be. And so, yeah, if you can see on the screen, we have our website up. It's just iepsensei.com. And there's a blue button. It's kind of blue buttons everywhere that say join beta. If you're interested in joining, what that would do is just you would fill out a very simple Google form for us. We'll contact you and then move forward. Right now, the tool's not set up for independent use as we're still building it. So it would be a shared, you would have to share your IEPs with
Yeah.
us outside of that. But
Yeah.
otherwise, we'll get that analysis going, and then we'll spend time with you reviewing all of that good information. The more complicated or long an IEP is, the more information you're going to get. And so what you saw today was based on a 16-page IEP. It's pretty simple, but there's just a lot more analysis that we can do and provide. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Just to confirm, IEPSENSAI.com.
Yes, IEPSENSEI dot
Oh,
com.
SEI. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
it's in the email that I sent.
Okay.
The website is in the email that I sent about today's presentation.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll put it in the chat too.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Robbie. I echo what everyone says. I mean, this sounds wonderful, and I apologize because I had intended to be undistracted during this call and conversation. But of course, the phone call from school that I was waiting for came at the time of the presentation. So I'm looking forward to going back and listening to the recording. I was the one that asked because there was helpful information on the screen. I didn't know about if, in addition to the recording, if there would be hard copies, just we can review. But in addition to that, and I apologize again if you mentioned this, I hate to think this way, but I always now kind of stop and think about the privacy issues. And I'll be honest, AI has some wonderful attributes and things that I think really can be harnessed, as your example here. But I also have some hesitation with it as well. And I have some hesitation with some of the way sort of our government uses this information also. So did you touch upon that in terms of the privacy? Because if we do, I am interested in sharing and being part of the beta, but obviously it has all the personal information in those IEPs. So is there privacy included in this?
There is
Yes,
privacy. Do you want to
100%.
talk a little bit more
Yeah,
to it?
yeah. So we are FERPA and COPA compliant. None of your IP data goes, into a chatbot anywhere. It stays in our system. Because we are a corporate entity, um, uh, LLMs can't use our data to do training for their LLMs. So our system doesn't hold on. The only time our system has any of the data is when it's actually running the analysis, and then it releases it. So it gets the redacted IEP. We don't feed it, the child's information. Just the agents have that information. They do the reports, and then they present them to us, and then they scrub their little cues.
Yeah. So it's not a
Wonderful.
chat bot. We're not putting anything on the internet.
Right.
This is it's called a multi-agent system, and it's housed within IEP Sensei. And so that's a huge privacy component. There are a lot of competitors that we see on the market, like there's one called Highlighter that one of our client parents was using, and I feel like it's
It was
an LLM.
yeah.
I
It's
feel like
just a chatbot that they're
you're just
feeding
putting
me
it
into.
out there. Yeah, so we've definitely taken
Yeah,
that
that's
into account.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's front and center for us. If you notice when through our demo, we actually have a built-in PII system that's in the system itself, so it redacts your children's names. Even teachers, when they're working, in the classroom with these, they can have privacy mode on, so that a non-special ed teacher walks in the room, or the kids come up to her desk. There's no identifying data that is gonna kind of break that trust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. That's great to hear. I appreciate that.
Anyone else have a question?
Yes, I have a question about how, I mean, I understand for parents how this is very useful, and in an ideal world, the school district should also find it very useful, though not always, having been through all these battles, I'm not always optimistic that the district's issue might be saving money, it might be
Right.
taking shortcuts. How would you market it to them so it's not just the parents need to take advantage of this?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one that we have worked, really thought over for quite a bit. One of our board members mentioned yesterday that the thing about this is that districts will feel uncomfortable because they won't be able to do things the way that they've always been doing them, and so it is something that would push for change, and change can be uncomfortable. It's also really hard to sell into a district. I spent 2 years. I took a little break from education and thought, hey, I'm going to sell this amazing product into school districts in Texas, and it was like a brick wall. And so we are looking at other ways. One is jumping to the state level, working with state education agencies who are needing to audit on a cyclical cycle school district documentation. That's one way. I think that parent pressure, as parents come to meetings more prepared, advocating for their children, and really understanding, where is this IEP strong, and then where is this IEP deficient. I think that will start to push and put a little bit of pressure on school districts as well. We have some other entry points that we're considering and exploring with already existing legacy systems that districts are already using, so it wouldn't be a separate purchase. So yeah, daily we're kind of looking at that issue and thinking about, what are some solutions to getting into on the district side.
Yeah, and the other side of our tool that we haven't demoed, that we did yesterday with our advisory board, is the teachers portal that's going to help them write better IEPs, write better goals. And it actually tracks their caseload, which is, that's part of the burnout is, you know, um, caseload identified, over the last, you know, forever, I guess, for teachers is, their head count. You're gonna have 12 kids in your classroom. The problem with that is it doesn't put a weight on the IEP. So, as the IEP has more goals and more services, more experts or more push in, pull out, stuff like that, that's going to increase the weight of those IEPs. So you have a teacher that has four of these really heavy IEPs, that now pushes their workload way past, 37 hours, 40 hours a week, right? And then we're talking 50 something hours of just doing the, all of the legwork, all of the paperwork. Um, and so what that part of the tool will, show them is, here's your caseload. Here are the weights of those. You can, just by looking at it, you can tell, okay, that's a really dense IEP. And it will help them sort of balance the workload for teachers, and they don't, they're less likely to burn out. They can spend more time with the children that they're working with. So that's the other part of it. We want to be like Laura said, we want to be able to plug into legacy systems like Frontline with APIs, or whatever system they're using, and just make it as seamless as possible for them.
Yeah. If we
Thank
make
you.
it easy, they're more likely to adopt it, right? So we got to find their pain points too.
Right.
It's a great question.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a question? No.
Okay.
So we have your email, we have your website, so people can just reach out privately if they want to be part of the beta testing.
Yes,
Yeah,
Okay,
that'd be
great,
Thank
great.
we're
you.
super excited.
And this is
Thanks,
this
Emma.
recording, as I mentioned, will go out to everyone, and you'll probably be getting some people who want to be part of the project.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
Thank
Alma,
you.
and thank you,
Thank
Priya,
you.
as well. Thank you, everyone. Take
Yes.
care. Have a great
Thank
week.
you so much. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.